This episode of the Corcoran Entertainment Show is brought to you by Black Box Prompter. Are you a musician tired of being tethered to your tablet or music stand? Do you long to connect with your audience on a deeper level, but find yourself constantly glancing down at your lyrics and chords? Then I highly recommend Black Box Prompter, the smart and stealthy lyrics and chords teleprompter designed to liberate musicians from the stage clutter. This innovative device is perfect for bands, hobbyists jamming out in the garage, touring pros rocking arenas, and even houses of worship looking to elevate their services. It discreetly displays your lyrics and chords, allowing you to maintain eye contact with your audience, adding an extra layer of authenticity and connection to your performance. Don't let distractions hold you back. Unleash your full potential and create a more powerful connection with your audience with Black Box Prompter. Click the link in our episode description and use the promo code Corcoran at checkout for 10% off your purchase. Black Box Prompter, the smart teleprompter built for musicians by musicians. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Franky Corcoran. Here we are again, 2 episodes this week. 2 episodes in a row, or maybe not in a row, but you're getting 2 regular episodes in 1 week, which is pretty good, because I didn't have a guest on Tuesday for the 200th episode, so I said I might as well do an additional, Tuesday regular one, but releasing on Thursday, and then next week we'll be back to the grind, back to the original, our daily routine or our weekly routine. Before I start today, I just want to give a quick shout out to She Breezy. Anybody who is listening from Miramichi, I know a lot of my listeners are local. Check out this cafe. It's in Ritchie's Wharf, and it is a very quiet, quaint little coffee shop, and it's really, really great. Like, it's a great atmosphere, great environment, and I went down to just work on some stuff, and it was just very peaceful, and the staff is incredible. Just want to give a quick shout out to them. They're not sponsoring us. I just want to give a quick shout out. Small businesses, you want to, give them all the support, shout outs, all that stuff. These guys are definitely worthy of that. So be sure, if you're looking for a nice little quiet spot on the river, definitely be sure to go on down to She Breezy. If you're listening to this for Randee Dawn and you're not from Miramichi, then, it is what it is. But if you happen to drop by Miramichi, it is a great spot to drop by in the summertime. So hot drinks, cold drinks, and they also have wine and stuff like that too, and great food. So shout out to them. Just want to give a quick little shout out to them. Sorry, I'm losing a bit of my voice. If it sounds like my voice is a little groggy, I don't know. I just woke up like this. It's weird. I don't know. I literally didn't get sick all winter, and now I think I'm starting to get something. But anyways, it is what it is. Maybe you guys can't even tell, but I can I can feel it. I get winded after talking for a long period of time. But anyways, it is what it is. Let's just get on with the show. So I'm very excited about our guest today. We had a great conversation. Randee Dawn. She's a journalist, author. She's written some books, including Tune In Tomorrow, Leave No Trace, and she has a couple new books coming out this year. Leave No Trace is coming out in August, and she has a sequel to Tune In Tomorrow, which is coming out later in the fall. Very excited to have her on here today. We talk about a lot of things, and great conversation. It was just really, really great. And, definitely be sure to follow her on social media, all that stuff. Go on Amazon, get her books, or Barnes & Noble, wherever you buy all that stuff. Later in the show, for the solo segments, I want to talk about Trailer Park Boys Season 13 is in production. Just want to talk a little bit about that. And Martin Scorsese, his comments about why he doesn't go to the cinemas anymore. Do I agree with him? Do I not? Let's talk about it later. But anyways, guys, Jesus, my voice. Anyways, guys, without further ado, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast today. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I am your host, Franky Corcoran, and today I am joined by a Brooklyn-based author, journalist, entertainment writer. Very excited to have her on here today. Randee Dawn. Randee, how are you today?
I am well, thank you very much. How are you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. Thank you for coming on. It's really, first off, congratulations on all the success that you've had these last, little while. You have a new book. I mean, you have numerous books, but you have a new one as well. And you've your byline is, in today.com, goldderby.com, Variety, Los Angeles Times, Emmy Magazine, just you name it, you do it. How does it feel to be wearing so many different hats as a journalist?
The thing is, I've been doing it so long that I'm just used to the sort of stacking and organizing and multitasking that just comes with all of this. But it does make things very busy, and it makes me appreciate my downtime as much as possible.
Oh, absolutely. How do you, what's your work life balance like? How do you manage your personal life, work life? Because things, especially in the entertainment industry, it's sometimes we sometimes take for granted just how time consuming a lot of it can be. So how do you find that balance between making sure you have time for your work and you're able to, sorry, that's my dog.
That's okay. Hi, dog.
He's excited. He's very excited that we're talking to Randee Dawn here today. So finding the time to devote and make sure that your work is good, quality over quantity, versus also I have a life. I have a personal life. How do you maintain those?
For one thing, I work from home, so I find that to be, and I've been doing that long. I was doing that long before COVID sort of made it trendy, right? And so that has helped a lot because if you work from home, you already eliminate commute, right? So I already get a couple hours back in my day that some people who have commute don't have. But also, I've been doing it long enough that I know sort of how to do a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit here and a little bit there. And I don't let one thing completely occupy my entire schedule. And the other thing too is that, I mean, I'm a big consumer. I love the entertainment industry. I love music. I love books. I love TV. I love film. So it's not as though I'm switching from like, pardon me to all the miners who may be out there, but like writing about coal operations to something that I'm, very passionate about. Like, I mean, I've already am interested in this stuff. I'm going to watch TV anyway. I'm going to read books. I'm going to watch movies. So being in a position to comment on them or talk to the people who are involved with them or write about them in some way, it's work, but it's not heavy lifting, if you know what I mean, which I think helps a lot. That helps me be able to stack a bit more in because I'm blending the work-life balance. And I've been doing it long enough that I know how to keep things organized and what my level of what sort of how much labor I can take on at any given time is without burning out. At least I hope so. I always worry if I've taken on the one extra project that I can't do. But what's interesting now, of course, is that my husband is getting ready to retire. And I've been doing this long enough that I can kind of start to phase out a little bit. I've been enjoying doing this for many, many years, but we want to travel. I would like to focus more on my books, and they're fiction books. It's not so much nonfiction. And so I'm in this weird place right now where I'm actually doing less freelance writing and looking at how that's going to change my schedule and my life going forward, and then opening it up more to be able to write more books because that's the thing I always wanted to do anyway, was be an author. And the entertainment business was like, well, this is how you can get paid to write as opposed to when you're trying to be an author, which does not pay very well.
No, well, I mean, not that it wouldn't, but it's difficult, I guess you could say. I mean, you're not gonna write your first book and be J.K. Rowling. It's just not gonna work that way, you know.
Yeah.
And congratulations to your husband, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Retirement coming up. That's really exciting. Do you kind of look ahead, like if you're talking about retiring and stuff? Do you ever sometimes worry about if I retire, what am I going to do with myself? Am I just going to go right back to work? I mean, people deal with that all the time when they retire. How would you live, I guess you could say, if you were retired? Would you find yourself going back to work immediately or?
I think everybody who retires eventually does some sort of work. It just is a redefinition of it, and then how many hours you put into it. You're not going to probably go back unless you financially have to, which I totally respect. But if you don't financially have to, you're probably not going to go back to that 40, 50 hour a week, just 5, 6 days a week kind of job, right? But I think having something to do or having something to put your focus into is critical. People talk all the time about they retire and they don't know what to do with themselves, and it just sort of leads to a life and a health decline in a lot of people. So for me, the thing that I plan on doing is doing a lot more fiction writing, finding a place for finding time in my life for more stories. As I mentioned, we want to travel and we want to do lots of long distance travel and travel that takes months at a time, as opposed to just being able to trying to squeeze everything in a city into like 2 or 3 days. And we both like to garden. We're starting to have more time to be able to do that. And I just planted a bunch of marigolds today, and he's got strawberries going out in the backyard. So we're looking to be able to do all those classic cliche things that people do when they're retired. Like, oh, I have more time to garden. I have more time to write. But it's true. It's the thing that I think we've been building toward. And I don't see those things necessarily as, again, hard labor work, but I do see them as time intensive, keeping my brain engaged, things I really want to do, and also be creative. So I am not actually worried about occupying my time at all.
Well, it also, some people say I retired, but I'm busier now than I was when I was working, which is
Yes.
kind of, that's something that it's good, but it's also, it kind of has its I mean, I think retirement would have its ups and downs. That's the one thing.
Mhm.
I mean, you kind of have you work on your schedule now, and you don't have to worry about the 9 to 5 getting up. I'm like, I can just get up and work whenever I
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
What's your schedule like as a freelance writer? Like, how do you kind of? I mean, like, do you have a typical like 9 to 5, or do you have like a typical or a not typical? I'm just going to work maybe a couple hours a day, or like how do you kind of schedule your workday?
Yeah, I see what's needed. If I really need to be making extra money in a month, I will push harder to get more freelance articles and things like that. I'll come up with more ideas. I'll poke my editors. I'll say, "Hey, what do you got out there?" But I'm also at a stage where, since I work from home, if I have other things that I need to be doing, I maybe might not poke that editor for the day, and I might sit down and do edits on my book. And there is no, there is no one average day for me, which is what I think is probably one of my life goals. I love my mom to death, and she went to work because she had to, not because she really planned to or wanted to exactly. And I would see how her job was very much the same thing every day, the same, office, the same very, what I would consider to be very monotonous way of doing it. But you have to do it. You got to earn a paycheck. This is how it works. But one of my goals was to have a job or find a job or make a job for myself where every day was a little different, and one did not look like the next, even if there were cycles or rhythms to it. And I feel like with freelancing, one of the great things is that if I see something in a movie or a TV show or in a song or whatever, and it piques my interest, or it becomes something that I want to know more about, I can sort of, maybe not all the time, but I can turn that into a story, and I can maybe get an editor who says, "Yeah, I want that article," and I can go ask all my nosy questions and get my answers, and then I get paid for it. So I get paid for being nosy, and I'm very happy about that. So yeah, every day is a little bit different because what comes to me as potential story is very different every day.
Getting paid for being nosy. I love that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's really good. Well, that's being a journalist. Sometimes maybe it's not nosy, but it's uh, you know,
Curious.
curious.
It's
Exactly.
exactly curiosity and nosiness sort of sit side by side, and depending on who's asking the questions, right? Um, but yeah, I like to say that I get to ask all the dumb questions, because you can't be an expert in every single field. I mean, if I want to talk to a chef, like, I've baked, but I don't know all the ins and outs that a chef does or a baker does. So I would ask all the dumb questions, like, why should my butter be soft? Like, and for them, that's a very basic question, but I get to ask all these dumb questions, and I'm so happy to do it, because I think these are questions that most people will have but never get a chance to ask.
Well, I actually talked on a previous episode with somebody, actually a couple episodes back, about talking about politics and stuff like that, where know what you're arguing or talking about before you go out and do it. Like if you go to an argument saying this is why, so and so or Donald Trump is this and that, but you don't have like really enough reasons to back it up. It's just he's just a jerk, Like that's what a lot of people say. They don't back it up. I mean, I'm like that. I say things about certain politicians and stuff like that, my opinions on them, but I don't
Mhm.
have the multitude of other reasons that would support that. I don't talk about it on air because I don't want, that's that that gets to become a whole other thing. And this is
Right.
entertainment. But
Yeah.
it's kind of similar in that regard where it's like know what you're writing about. How are you a firm believer in the saying of write what you know? Or is it kind of good to challenge yourself in some regards to write about some things that you're not entirely knowledgeable about?
Right. So I think there's a couple of topics that you brought up when you were just saying all those things. And what I would say first of all is that it's not like I go into an interview knowing nothing, right? Like I do come in prepared and I do know a certain amount. And you want to be able to do follow up questions. So if somebody gives you a complete line of BS, you want to be like, but that's a complete line of BS. What about this? Right. So you don't want to go in completely ignorant. But it's not. It's a little different than if, for example, a lawyer who goes to do cross examination and that is not supposed to ask any questions they don't already know the answer to. Like that's not quite the level that I think I need to go into most interviews with. Um, so I am prepared, but I'm also willing to ask the dumb questions just in case they need to be asked or I can't figure it out for myself. As for write what you know, the if we, are we talking? Do you think for that aspect? Do you think we're talking more about the freelancing, or do you want to talk about fiction in terms of that? 'Cause I think that's two different answers, maybe.
Maybe both actually. I like to hear your perspective on both of those actually.
Okay, so in terms of write what you know, that's an old phrase that people that gets thrown around a lot. And write what you know in terms of nonfiction or in terms of articles and journalistic pursuits, you have a certain grounding already. If you've done this long enough, I've done entertainment journalism for a lot of years. I kind of know how these things go in terms of how a movie gets made or how a TV show gets developed or what a writer's room looks like. I mean, I have that information already. So when I go and I interview somebody, what's really great is when I don't have to ask the most basic, lesson 101 type questions. And we can talk about more interesting, more in depth things. The problem is that for most of the articles that I'm writing for the outlets that I'm writing them for, you often end up needing to write a 101 type story. The longer articles that I've written in the past for some magazines where you get 4,000 words or something to do a story means you can go in greater depth and you can ask a lot of things and learn a lot of things along the way. So it really depends on who you're writing it for, how long it's going to be, and how much time you even have to put the article together in terms of the write what you know. I have been doing entertainment journalism long enough for some of the outlets that you mentioned that I know what they're looking for. And that's good because that works for both of us. It means I can turn something around quickly for them. And knowing what they want and how to get it and how to give it to them is really helpful. So that's maybe where write what you know comes in handy for the journalism that I do. In terms of writing novels or fiction, that phrase is often given out because people are like, I don't know what sort of story to tell. How do I even get started? And people say, well, write what you know. What is the expertise that you have? And I think part of the problem is that often you get, folks who are in their 20s or, who say, well, the only thing I really know is my own family life. And so I'm going to write yet another, difficult, dysfunctional family memoir-esque type novel. And it's not that those can't be done and can't be done well, but that is not something that interests me. When I was writing the novel that I got published first, which is not the same thing as my first novel, but the first novel that I got published was called Tune In Tomorrow, and it came out in 2022 and is based in a sort of a mythical reality TV show, like what would what would mythics be? What sort of TV shows or movies would mythics make, and why would they why would they really want to have humans starring in them? It's meant to be sort of a silly satirical look at the industry. But I was able to write that book because I knew about the industry. I knew the types of people in the business. I had worked with them. I had gone backstage. I had sort of absorbed all this stuff over the years. So when it came down to write what you know, I had a unique corner of knowledge. Maybe not 100% unique. Clearly, I'm not the only person who has ever done this, but I have a specific slice of life that I know that I can then put into a story to make it feel real, like you're actually there, that you're learning stuff you don't already know, and also make it an interesting story that's really funny and silly at the same time. So I think write what you know, it helps after you've spent enough time on this earth to actually have something that you really know as opposed to just your own life that far. So anyway, that's how I interpret the write what you know.
Oh, okay. Do you have a favorite genre that you not just like to read, but also write? Because I know of some writers who they're a sucker for, like, let's say, romance novels,
Mm-hmm.
and they love to read them, and they keep up to date with them, but as a writer they like to write, say, like a murder mystery, like, are you kind of that type of person where you write what you like the best, like, if you're a romance mystery, whatever genre it is,
Mm-hmm.
then you write that, or you're kind of both, or like a variety of them, where you write romance stories, you write murder mysteries, you write, I keep saying the romance one, but
Yeah, yeah. You clearly are into this
I
romance thing.
love romance stories. Action
um,
adventure, there we go, sci-fi, there we go, I'll change it up a bit.
yeah. No, no, I love all those things. I mean, I'll read whatever is interesting. If you get a good story and you got good characters, it doesn't matter to me what the genre is. I just think I have very specific little things that I like to read. In terms of writing, I find that what tends to keep me going and makes me want to do draft after draft and stick with a story till it really works is it tends to be what's called urban fantasy or contemporary fantasy, i.e., not high fantasy where we're all with knights and castles and quests and that sort of stuff that we've seen. The Game of Thrones, for example, that's high fantasy. I read all those books. I have no problem with the genre, but when I'm writing, I like to question what it would be like if we take some of these mythical characters or these fantastical characters and put them into sort of a modern context, how they would reflect to us and how we would reflect to them. And that tends to be what I write. I also often write horror. I have not written a horror novel, but I have several short stories that are definitely in the horror genre. And what's interesting is the first book that I put out, The Tune In Tomorrow, is a silly book, and then I also write horror. And what's interesting about both of those is they're not literally on opposite ends of the spectrum. There's actually some overlap between humor and horror, but I find for me it gives me permission to really just go there, to really try to punch something up to make it even funnier, or punch it up to make it even sort of more scary or even a little gross. And I think that that's actually very cathartic for me. I like being able to put all that on the page and get a visceral reaction from people, whether they happen to be laughing or recoiling.
Right, absolutely. That's a great, and it's good when you're able to write multiple different genres, because it's also something you don't want to be trapped in, the sense of people will just see you and go, oh, that's the person who wrote that horror book, or that's the person who writes these types of books. Like, you want to be able to show that you're not just a one trick pony. You want to be able to show that I can not only write scary stuff, but I can also be funny. I can also write children's books, so it's good to kind of spread your wings, and it might be a bit scary, I think.
Mhm.
If you're bouncing from genre to genre, does that kind of get nerve-wracking for you, in the sense of, I don't know how people are going to like this because they are so used to how I wrote my other books? Or do you kind of just, follow your heart, go with your gut, and see what happens?
Yeah, it's really a balancing act. There's so much branding that goes on in the industry because there's just so much fiction and writing out there already. The question, in order to rise above and to be a name that people would recognize, it helps to sort of just stay in your lane. And publishers, the big publishers generally want you to stay in your lane. If you've written young adult or YA before, they want you to continue writing that. If you've written scary stuff before, they want you to continue writing that. The kind of fiction career I have so far, nobody has told me to do that just because I'm just not big enough. I haven't sold so many that people are giving me these sort of marketing and branding advice. There are a lot of people who write in multiple genres and then they use different bylines. Sometimes it's very obvious. For example, there's a writer named Ian M. Banks, and when he writes as Ian M. Banks, it's hard sci-fi. When it's Ian Banks, it's more literary, mainstream, sometimes a little scary or fantastical. So he's got two different, it's his name, so you immediately know, oh, this one is that and this one is that. And that I think is a very fair thing to do. If I actually decide to write a horror novel and manage to get it published, there's a chance that I will just slightly alter my name so that people who pick it up are not expecting another funny, silly, punny book, but are going to get something that is in a slightly different category. But that's if I decided to go full horror on a whole novel. At the moment, the scary stuff that I've written is under my name, but is all short fiction. People are not going to get traumatized by that. I do have a new book that came out earlier this year, which is a dark fantasy and is not funny, at least not intentionally. If people are finding it funny, I've done something wrong. But when I am at conventions or I'm able to actually talk to people about the books, I will often say, well, we have a funny one and we have a dark fantasy, and whatever your flavor is, we've got one for you. And sometimes people buy both. People are not necessarily only going to buy the one thing that they know that they like. If they like you as an author, they can generally follow you along as long as they know where they're going and they're not anticipating that something's going to be funny when it turns out to be scary, and vice versa. So yeah, I'm just kind of trying to figure that part of things out. The serious, dark fantasy that I wrote a long time before I did the funny fiction, but it got published second, and there's another one coming out that's being published third. So it just the way that it laid out, this was not a big life plan to go funny, serious, and then follow up and do funny. This is just how the publishing industry works. So hopefully the covers and the descriptions will suffice for now. And if I have to add an extra middle initial or something, I will do that in the future.
The Corcoran Entertainment Show is brought to you by Podmatch, the ultimate platform designed to connect podcast hosts with prospective guests effortlessly. Are you a podcaster looking to elevate your show to new heights? Or perhaps you're a guest hoping to share your story with a broader audience. Whatever your podcasting goals are, we have the perfect solution for you. Podmatch simplifies the entire process of discovering guests for your show or finding podcasts to feature your expertise. Now imagine a platform where you can easily match with like-minded creators tailored specifically to your niche. With Podmatch, you can effortlessly network with influencers and thought leaders, all while staying true to your podcast vision. There are a multitude of ways that Podmatch can help you grow your brand. You can be part of a thriving community of podcasters and potential guests. Engage, collaborate, and grow together. If you're ready to experience these fantastic benefits for yourself, we invite you to join Podmatch today. Head over to www.joinpodmatch.com/Corcoran Entertainment and sign up right now for only $6 a month. That's right, you heard me right, $6 a month. Join the Podmatch family today and watch your podcast soar to new altitudes. Thank you for tuning into the Corcoran Entertainment Show, and happy podcasting. Well, that's how a lot of the industry works, in the sense of you could have a plan of, I'm going to publish this, or if you're working in TV or movies or whatever, I'm going to do this movie followed by this movie followed by this movie. Maybe it's a sequel to one of the others, but sometimes it's just a matter of, if you're getting it produced by a big company or whatever, or you're getting it published by a big company, sometimes it doesn't exactly go the way you want it, because it kind of depends on what they're looking for. Now, depending on if it's a sequel to like a big book that they had released that people are waiting to see the sequel, then yeah, absolutely.
Right.
But in terms of making plans and stuff like that for how you want certain books to release, is that something that you kind of started out with, thinking that this is how I'm going to release X, Y, and Z, and next thing you know, Z ends up coming out first, and then Y comes doesn't end up happening, and then X happens at some point? Like, have you ever dealt with that where your predictions or where your vision has kind of been derailed a bit?
I love that you asked this question. It is so outside the way that publishing really works, that you cannot really plan this kind of thing. It's possible that if you're really huge and you've got a new plan or and you want to put out something in a certain order, you can do it. But for the vast majority of writers, you write a thing, you maybe have an agent who sees it, the agent sends it out, and hopefully it lands somewhere. And you continue writing the next thing. Like, you don't sit back and wait. Because if you sit back and wait, you're going to lose years of your life, because that part of the process where it's out of your hands and somebody else gets to decide whether or not they want to publish it, that can take many months or sometimes years. It depends. So you keep writing the next thing. And then when the next thing is ready, you show it to the agent again, or you decide to send it out and you send it out again. And even if somebody says on book number one, hey, we want this, and then suddenly somebody says, hey, we want this on book number two, there's no guarantee that book number one is going to come out before book number two, because it could be two different publishers, it could be due to two different time frames, or maybe the editing on one of them takes a really long time and the editing on the other doesn't take a really long time. So I think trying to plot that kind of thing is a bit like trying to plot, I don't know, maybe like the babies that you want to have. I'm going to have a boy first, and then I will have two girls. And you can say those things, and maybe you could find some way to ensure that you get a boy through genetic testing, which is, but I don't think that it's not practical to try and do that, to imagine that you're going to have one come before the other and then the other one. There's too many vagaries about the industry. And like, for example, with Tune In Tomorrow, when it was coming out, I got picked up by the publisher who said they wanted it the day before lockdown happened in New York City. And they were a British publication, a British publisher, excuse me. So they actually took a couple more weeks before they decided to go to lockdown. But that's another monkey wrench in the whole thing, where you can't know how something that happens around the world that may affect the publishing schedule, right? Like a pandemic could happen. So, these are just not things you can necessarily plan for. It's a nice idea, but it just, that doesn't work. Unless I'm going to publish it all myself. It's true. If I were to publish it all myself, I could plot out the order of things. But that's a different part of the industry that I actually am not doing right now. I'm still using traditional publishing to get my books out there.
And what's your view on self-publishing? Do you find that's a good way for people to be noticed, or is it better to be traditionally published, or is it kind of both?
Well, okay, I can really mainly speak for me. I I don't have anything against self-publishing. If you've got like your grandma's memoir and she wants to publish it and show it to the family, and you don't want to wait years because it may never get picked up because it's grandma, but you know the whole world may not need this memoir, then yeah, go for it. Do that thing. If you don't care about whether or not it sells, but you want to always put your if you want to always put your poetry into a book, you should absolutely go ahead and feel free to publish that yourself. It's nice that we have these tools now. But for me personally, I wanted to go through the traditional process, in part because whether it's a good idea or not, or whether it's something we should continue doing, there is more prestige if you have somebody else who makes a business decision to invest in your book by agreeing to publish it, right? It becomes a business proposition for them. They look at what it is, they say, I like this book, and I think I can sell it. And then they either give you an advance or don't give you an advance, but they purchase the right to publish that book. And there is a prestige in that because presumably this publisher wants to make money, and they're not going to try and get a book that they don't think can sell. And it's not all about selling, but you do want other people to read this book, presumably. So there's that level of things. And then also, I don't want to have to be in charge of every single part of the process. I don't want to have to I like to have input on the cover. I don't want to have to design the cover. I don't mind having input in whether or not we have a table of contents, but I don't want to be the one who has to do the layout on the book. And a lot of self-publishing, what happens is somebody finishes a book, they're like, this looks good to me. Mom, what do you think? Thanks, Mom. That looks good to you too. All right, let's go publish this thing. And you end up with stuff that really needed some editing. You needed some proofing. You needed somebody who doesn't have an emotional investment in your well-being to read this book and tell you the equivalent of like if you have something in your teeth, right? Like only your friends will tell you if you have something caught in your teeth. So you need somebody who will tell you whether this is something that you should really put into the world or not. Because if you do it a couple of times and it's really not worth somebody's time, that's what you're doing is you're stealing somebody's time. You're giving them a product and saying, read this thing. And they spend their time reading it and they're like, this is terrible, or I can't read this, or it's so badly spelled, I can't possibly pay attention to it, you know? So a lot of self-publishing just skips these in-between steps, which take a long time or can take a long time, but are absolutely worth doing because you want the book to be something that will make other people happy and interested and find it readable, not just you or your mom or your husband or your dog.
Yeah, or your dog, exactly. Yeah. So what do you think of this?
Well, you said he was very excited to have me on the show, so you know.
Yes, exactly. And now he's passed out next to me.
Aw.
Yeah, the whole editing process. So what do you think of this episode? Is the audio good? Woo! Okay, yeah, it's good. All right.
Nice.
That's how my whole editing and writing process will go. I just show my dog and he barks and I'm like, okay, good. But speaking of your books, you have you just released a new one in April and you have another one coming out in August, correct?
Yeah, it's true. And another one coming out in November.
And
So
another one. Oh my God, geez.
crazy. It's
Busy,
crazy.
busy. So feel free to
Yes.
tell me about all those.
Right. So the two that are coming out in April and August, one that's already out, those are the dark fantasies. These are both books that I wrote before I started writing funny fiction. And the first one from April is called The Only Song Worth Singing, and it is about a rock band from Ireland that's touring in the U.S. for the first time in the 1990s. And they are pursued by these scary fairies who kind of turn their lives upside down and potentially may kill them. They're very dangerous. This is not, you know, I say scary fairies and it sounds funny, but one of them is a fairy mistress, which is an Irish fae who inspires the poets, but also steals their life away as they do the inspiration. So once you've attracted the attention of the fae, how do you get rid of them before they kill you? The other one is called Leave No Trace, and that comes out in August. And I'm still working on my elevator pitch on that, so this may sound a little disjointed, but it's about a young woman who has grown up in the forest. Her father sort of wanted to take her and her brother away from the crazy world and raise them in the forest. And she has become friends with a magical creature known as the Gilly Dhu, which is a Scottish folklore character, the Green Man of the Forest. And they've become friends, and then these musicians, sort of taken a break from the wild world, trying to escape a scandal, decide to go hunting in the forest, and they hire her father to be their guide, and these two cultures severely clash. And then meanwhile, in the background of all of this is not an active part of the book, but it flavors the book. There is a war going on between humans and fae that's actually being fought in Europe and the Celtic countries. So all of that goes into Leave No Trace. And then the other book that's coming out in August is part of the Tune In Tomorrow universe. It's a standalone. All these are standalones, even if they connect one way or the other. But the one that's coming out in November is called We Interrupt This Program, and it continues to look at the amusing ways in which the Fae are trying to use humans for the subjects of their movies and TV shows. In this case, they have created a sort of terrarium-like village, a trope town they call it, in which imagine if there was a town where all the Hallmark movies were filmed, right? So and then they make their movies based on that town. So that's kind of the leaping off point for We Interrupt This Program, which is out in November.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. That's a
I
great way.
hope so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great way to put it about the Hallmark thing. That's really good.
Yeah.
So this is fantastic. Like just hearing about the process, and because I know there's lots of people who, um, want to be writers or authors and are struggling to get recognized and stuff. If we had to end this off on a little piece of advice for any of those people, what would you say?
So if you think to yourself, I want to be a writer, which is, by the way, something that I think writers maybe get more than any other profession. Most people don't go up to like doctors and say, I always wanted to be a heart surgeon. Um, Writers get this a lot. And I think what you need to do is is first of all, be clear eyed about how the business works. Writing is not just, I sat down for an afternoon and I wrote 500 words and I'm a writer. Like, yes, you are a writer, but to become an author, to become a published author is something that will take years. And there is no guarantee that you'll get anything officially published by a traditional publisher. There's no guarantee that you'll get any money off of it. It is not very remunerative. The people talk about, oh, this person got a six-figure advance, which is very nice. I'm not saying that I ever got a six-figure advance, but even if you get a six-figure advance, it can take you years to write a book. So if you got $100,000 for your book, first of all, your agent's going to take 15% of that. Also, if say it took you 3 years to write it, well, that's making $33,000, $30,000 a year, which is not exactly, mansion and yacht territory. And that's one book. And then once you've published that book, you will get no royalties on that book until the company that published it earns their money back from the advance that they gave you. So you may never see royalties. If it sells 1 million copies, you still may not see royalties because they have to make their money back first. That money is not on top of royalties. That is sort of an advance on royalties. So if you go into this business thinking, I'm going to make a lot of money, it's not, you have to be very clever and really good at marketing, really good in so many other ways to make anything that actually shows up as money in your account. But if you want to write, you should totally sit down and write. Try and find a regular time in your day to put those words down. Carve out an hour, close the door, tell the family, do not bother me except in cases of fire, flood, or blood. Like, just tell them that this is your writing time and have that clear space. And then if you find it starts coming more naturally and you get a story together, find other people to show it to and you build on it. It's step by step by step. So just be prepared for the long haul.
Coffee shops are a great spot too to just sit down and focus. That's a fantastic place. Some might say it's kind of people are coming in and talking stuff like that. How is it more quiet? But I don't know. It's just the atmosphere. People. I don't know. It's a great place to just kind of shut your brain off. You're not at home. When you're at home, there's too many distractions. Oh God, I want to go play Xbox and I go watch TV. Oh, it's nice outside. I'll go walk the dog. There's not really much of that when you're in a coffee shop, aside from just I want to get up and go get another coffee. Or I'm hungry. That person got a breakfast sandwich next to me that smells really good. So it's really like you said, finding the time to dedicate like an hour, an hour, 2 hours of your day to just write and know what you're getting into is really the
Yeah.
best way to put it.
And figure out what the atmosphere that is best for you. I mean, I do like a much quieter atmosphere. I don't do the coffee shop thing, but a lot of people do. One thing that really works for me is I'll have 2 or 3 writers over for just a writing afternoon, and we're not hanging out exactly, but we're sitting at the same table typing on our laptops, and it's just that energy that's kind of going on. You feel the creativity going on in the room, and it focuses you. So that's the kind of thing that works for me. Some people do those things virtually. They'll use their Zoom to do a virtual writing group where everybody is just, yes, their cameras are on and yes, they're typing, but nobody's talking to each other. So whatever your writing preferences are, if you can find that and replicate it, you will get words on the page and you may see where it goes from there.
All you hear is just the keyboards clacking.
Exactly. Yes.
And that's better than having someone calling you for something like
Right.
I'm hungry,
Yeah.
or dogs barking or anything, that always happens. But Randee, this has been such a blast. Congratulations on all of your success. Thank you for taking the time to come on the show today. Where could people find you online? You have a website, of course. Any social media or anything that people can find you on or anything like that?
Yeah, basically the best place to find me is at randeedawn.com, and that's Randee with two E's, which can confuse people. So it's Randee and then like the dawn, sun comes up, the dawn. So randeedawn.com. All of my socials are linked on there. I'm on Blue Sky, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, the usual places, and almost every place that you can go, I'm either Randee or Randee Dawn. So it's pretty easy to find me.
Perfect. And of course, we'll have it spelled in the episode description too. So if you guys are
Excellent.
struggling and like, oh my God, what did she just say? I have to slow it down. I have to look at the episode transcript. Don't worry, it'll be in the description to make it so much easier. Randee, thank you so much. By the way, the episode transcript will probably, it misspells a lot of stuff. So it might spell it as Randee with a Y. So
Story of my life, man. Story of my life.
I just realized that. I said, yeah, the transcript misspells my name all the time. So, it's
right.
it's probably gonna do it for everyone else. But
Right.
Thank you so much for taking the time, Randee, and best of luck
pleasure.
in all your future endeavors.
Thank you so much for having me. And it's been a great conversation. You're a terrific interviewer.
Oh, thank you. God love you. God love you. I'm just gonna slip you that money later on.
Oh, yeah. The check's in the mail.
Checks in the Exactly. Guys, we're going to take a short break. We will be right back. But until then, this is Franky and Randee Dawn signing off. Cheers, Randee.
Cheers.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Corporate Entertainment Show. That was me and Randee Dawn. Thank you, Randee, for coming on. And guys, be sure to support Randee, buy her books, visit her social media and all that stuff. And thank you, Randee, for coming on. Great conversation. She's a great person, too. So we had lots to talk about. And sorry, guys, if I sound better on the interview than I do today. I don't know what's happening to my voice today. But thank you again, Randee, for coming on. I really appreciate it. So moving on to the solo segments today. This is an exciting one. This one is a really exciting one. So we've known for a while that Trailer Park Boys season 13 was in development. There were rumors that we were going to get some more Trailer Park Boys. So just to kind of recap, we last had a full season of Trailer Park Boys in March 2018, which I didn't think it was that long ago, but here we are. March 2018 was when season 12 wrapped up. And then afterwards, of course, we had the sad passing of John Dunsworth. And they ended up doing an animated series for it instead, which kind of continued picked up where season 12 left off. And so we're kind of like, okay, I guess the live action series is canceled, I guess, because, they're not. But then from what I hear, it was a deal with Netflix, didn't pick them up, whatever. It is what it is. There's licensing and all that stuff. Whatever the case may be. And then we ended up getting lots of other Trailer Park Boys stuff. Like we got the Jail series, which was on SwearNet, which I liked a lot, actually. It was really funny. It's not on there anymore, actually. I don't know why they took it off or something like that. I don't know, but I liked the Jail show. It was really, really funny. And then of course we had the Standing on the Shoulders of Kitties, which was a really fun movie. I was actually I was expecting to like it. I didn't know how good it would be. I actually really enjoyed Standing on the Shoulders of Kitties. It was real, like a musical comedy with Bubbles as the lead. It was really, really good. I was very impressed by it. A lot of the music I still listen to on Apple Music all the time, and it's really good. So yeah, definitely be sure if you guys haven't seen it yet. It's available pretty much everywhere, I think. I don't know if it's on Netflix, but I got it on Apple TV or Apple, what do you call it on your iPhone? I feel like a boomer. So yeah, we were kind of wondering, what's the deal? Are we going to get more Trailer Park Boys? Are we not? So it seemed for a bit, because they were doing the spinoffs and stuff. They, of course, still do a podcast we kind of just assumed that, okay, maybe they're done. They're not doing any more of it, which was, it is what it is, I guess. All good things come to an end. But apparently, that's not the case. So this is what surfaced online. Now, of course, Mike Smith, when he was doing press for Standing on the Shoulders of Kitties, and he was in character as Bubbles, he had said that the camera guys were coming back to film in the spring. So that made us really, really excited. And then now... there's pictures online saying that the camera crews and stuff like that, they're all back in Sunnyvale. So then a notice of filming came up, which is for the residents, the people in the area, saying, "Dear residents, we're pleased to let you know that we will be returning to your neighborhood to film season 13 of Trailer Park Boys. We appreciate the community's past support and looking forward to being back." So they kind of just, that's a notice of people, if when people are filming and there's camera crews and cranes and dolly trucks and all that stuff coming out, nice to send a little notice to everybody, like, just be aware, this is what's going on. We're filming more Trailer Park Boys. So I'm excited. I don't know. So here's the thing. I don't know if it's coming on Netflix. If I had to guess, I think it's going to come on Crave, because I know the trades. I haven't seen it, but it's with Rob Wells, who of course plays Ricky. They're doing a third season of that, and I guess the show's been doing very, very well. So I know Netflix didn't renew Trailer Park Boys, so I don't know if maybe what the deal is with that. If they're the ones who are going to be putting season 13 out. But if I had to guess, I would say probably Crave, but I'm purely speculating on that. I don't know why they wouldn't do it on Netflix, because it's still, Trailer Park Boys is still very popular. People still watch it on Netflix, so I don't know why they wouldn't renew it, but anyway, it is what it is. But no, I'm super excited for this. I know there's times where we say, okay, maybe they're beating a dead horse and stuff like that. And, I kind of had that feeling of, okay, maybe they should wrap it up, because, of course, we don't have Leahy anymore. So is it worth it? But I think from what I see, of course, after seeing Standing on the Shoulders of Kitties, I'm like, yes, they are getting older. That's for sure. That happens. But the movie still made me laugh and everything. Like, the heart of the Trailer Park Boys is still there, and what made it funny. Is it as good as the original movies and TV shows? No, but that's kind of that's a tough thing to top. You know what I mean? Those early seasons were just, the magic of those. But the fact that we're still getting more Trailer Park Boys, I'm excited to see where season 13 goes. Is it going to be worse now that we don't have Leahy? Well, I would have said that, but as I said, we had the Shit Rockers movie, Standing on the Shoulders of Kitties, and I liked it a lot. So I think it's got potential. We'll see. We don't know any other info aside from that. They are making it. They're filming it right now. And it'll be nice to see the boys back again for like a full season, instead of just seeing them on podcasts and doing press stuff. And they were actually in Moncton. How long ago? Like a month ago, I think it was. I think it was during a weekday. I couldn't make it down. But yeah, I think it's great that they're coming back. Will they do more? I don't know. We're kind of putting the cart before the horse. I don't know if this is going to be like, they renew them for up to season 20. I don't know. But we're definitely at least getting a season 13. I guess we'll kind of see how it goes. But let me know your thoughts, if it's a good idea to make it, if they should just call it quits because it's not going to be the same without John Dunsworth. Whatever it is you guys are thinking, definitely be sure to let me know your thoughts. And so for our last solo discussion topic today, I wanted to talk about Martin Scorsese, who, of course, say what you want about him, his opinions. He's one of the best there is, if not the best filmmaker. It's Martin Scorsese. Like, if you're trying to talk about like, oh, what has he done? He's Martin Scorsese. Like, he's done some of the greatest movies of all time. Goodfellas, and just Wolf of Wall Street is one of my all-time favorite movies as well too. And The Irishman is a great one too. The Last Waltz. Just the numbers. And I literally just found this out today. That movie Hugo. he did that. I don't know why I didn't know he didn't make that. I just found that out. I said, oh, Martin Scorsese made that. Oh wow. But he's the best, and so of course Martin Scorsese, he's always gotten a bit of he's gotten shit on a little bit because of his opinions on comic book movies and saying they're not real cinema. I've always given the benefit of the doubt to Martin Scorsese in that regard. There were some things he said that I agreed on. There was things that I didn't agree on. What I didn't, I do agree with him on the sense that it's his opinion. If he doesn't think it's cinema, then, it is what it is. But for him to say that it's not cinema, but he outright admitted that he never watched them, to me, I'm like, how can you not think they're cinema? It is what it is. Like, it'd be like me saying, what's a movie that I haven't seen? I haven't really seen. Geez, I'm trying to think of just some movie I haven't seen where I'm just giving my opinion and saying that I hate it and stuff like that. Maybe Dune. Dune's one I have to see. I haven't seen Dune, but they're really, really good from what I hear. But it'd be like me saying that Dune's not cinema. Dune's terrible, blah, blah, blah. But I also admit that I haven't seen it. So it's like, how do I know it's terrible and it's not cinema if I haven't seen it? Like, that was the only problem I really had with his statements, is making statements about that. About a franchise that he already self-admittedly said he never saw. So, it is what it was. I think there was a little bit of, it's hard to say jealousy because, he's Martin Scorsese. Like I think every filmmaker out there would be jealous of, or maybe not jealous of him, but they would want what he has. So I think he's more so, to me, he's old school. He's in his 80s now, so I think he's just more so from that old school world where, the movies that made money and the movies that were critically acclaimed were the ones grounded in reality, much like Wolf of Wall Street, Goodfellas, and all that stuff. So that's what I think it was, and I think maybe he was a little pissed off that the movies that are more spectacle and the big special effects and superheroes and pew pew and all that stuff was getting more acclaim and more attention than his types of movies. I think that's what it was that he was kind of pissed about. But so he has been making headlines because he has said that he no longer watches movies in cinemas due to bad audience behavior. So this article is from The Guardian. The director, Martin Scorsese, we shouldn't even say the director, the King Scorsese has said that he no longer watches films in theaters because he's so appalled by the behavior of his fellow cinema goers. Speaking to U.S. film critic Peter Travers for his blog, The Travers Take, Scorsese reportedly explained that he found himself too distracted by the chat and mobile phone disturbance from the audience to concentrate on the film. Wrote Travers, I asked the maestro why he doesn't see movies in theaters anymore, and he went all raging bull about audiences who babble on phones during the movie, leave to order snacks and vats of soda, and keep up a noise level loud enough to drown out the actors. And Travers countered that Scorsese, 82, likely behaved in a similar way when he was younger. Come on, Marty, I said. We couldn't keep our mouths shut when we were kids. Travers added his Scorsese's eyes darkened. Yeah, maybe, he conceded. But when we talked, it was always about the movie and the fun we had chewing over the details. And then fights and shouting matches in cinemas have become increasingly common, while food throwing and constant conversation are normalized. Some films, this is one that I always talk about all the time, some films have sought to embrace the general atmosphere of chaos, with the Minecraft movie's clarion call of chicken jockey signaling the cue for children to run riot. The fact that that's even a fucking thing is just absolutely ridiculous to me. The fact that, I don't know. I just think that's absolutely crazy. And then the parents who were defending those kids doing the chicken jockey thing and saying that, oh, they're just kids, they're having fun. I'm like, yeah, you need to, you shouldn't be a fucking parent. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's Scorsese's comments. Now, I agree with him 100%. I personally still love going to the movies. There's lots of movies out there that that need to be seen in a movie theater. You can't watch them just by yourself at home. You could, but it's not the same whenever it's a movie like an Avengers movie or or like a Joker, or like those types of movies. You're like, you want to see it in an audience. It's almost like watching theater. It's like you're watching a play, like maybe live stream. You're watching it from your phone, and you're like, I don't like this. This isn't the same as actually being in the audience with everybody, laughing with them, crying with them, and seeing it all in the flesh. I mean, obviously that's not in the flesh for movies, but because it's on a screen, but you get what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying. So I 100% agree with what he says, in that it's just nowadays where we're having all this shit going on with the chicken jockeys and the I am Steve and people freaking out and losing their minds and stuff. This happens a lot. And so for him, I just, people might say, oh, but these are new times and this and that, but that doesn't mean he has to like it. He doesn't have to like it. Like, who wants to go to a movie theater or go see anything where people are just screaming their heads off? It's like going to a restaurant and there's someone screaming and just being loud and rambunctious, and you're just trying to sit and enjoy your meal. That's the same deal with the movie. You pay to be there. You pay for the, overpriced popcorn. You pay for the overpriced drinks and the overpriced ticket and all that. To enjoy yourself and just sit down and watch the movie, because then when you have to hear all the people screaming and hollering over certain things, I get that. Nobody wants to do that. And so for him, I don't think it's really a bad thing that he says, I just don't want to be there anymore. Like, it's just I would rather just watch movies in the comfort of my own home and not have to be exposed to all this people screaming because Jack Black said chicken jockey, or I am Steve, or lava chicken, whatever it is. I mean, I'm using the Minecraft movie as examples, but I mean, lots of movies are like that. Avengers Endgame, I always use that as a example, primarily because it's I have a poster for it that I'm looking at as I'm recording this, that I have set up here. And, that right there, I mean, that's understandable. But I mean, anybody who goes into those types of movies, like Marvel movies and stuff like that, whether it's annoying or not, yes, you have to admit it can get annoying, but you understand people are passionate about Marvel movies. And for him, it's just, that's his opinion. I don't think he's wrong in it. I think it's a totally valid opinion. People saying he's being too harsh, it's like, well, how would you feel? Just put yourself in his shoes, by imagining yourself, as I said, in a restaurant. You're trying to enjoy your meal, and I don't know, the waitress brings over your food and you freak out because you're so excited and you start throwing shit everywhere. Like, you'll be pissed off too. Or like bringing your kid who starts crying every 2 seconds. So I just think people need to have an open mind, and they need to understand that just because he doesn't like something that you like, it doesn't mean you have to hate on him because he has a different opinion than you. That's what I think it comes down to. So I think he's totally justified in feeling how he feels, and I completely understand him. And as I said, I'm willing to say when I agree with him, and I'm willing to admit that I think he's wrong, like with the comic book movies being cinema thing. You don't watch them, Marty. How do you know? But anyways, I completely agree with him, and it's his opinion. It's valid. But definitely let me know your thoughts. Is he right? Is he wrong? I mean, I guess in this case, there's not really a right or wrong answer. It's just, it's your opinion. If you like being there, then great. Keep doing it. But if not, it'd be different if he kept on complaining and then still watched it every week. It's like, okay, then just don't go. You know what I mean? It's like a restaurant that keeps fucking up your order, but you just keep going back. It's like, okay, well, it's your fault because all I have to do is just say, I'm not coming here again, and then be done with it. But if you keep coming back and they keep fucking it up, that's okay. Maybe it's on them too, because they should just get it right. But at some point, someone's got to cut their losses. Anyways, be sure to let me know your thoughts on that. And we're going to call it for the show today, guys. I want to thank my guest, Randee Dawn, for coming on. Guys, be sure to leave us a nice little rating, review, all that stuff. Helps keep the podcast going, helps motivate me. And just thank you for listening, as always. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. But until then, this is Franky signing off. Cheers, everybody.